Hi, Elena. Let's see what you have done here with your last set of essays. I know you said you had a hard time with the task 2, but let's see what you did. Okay, the first one is a map. The diagram shows the transformations that a 200 meters large island did before and after a certain period of time. All right, I want to clean up the grammar here, okay, and some of the vocabulary. So, the diagram shows the transformation of a 200-meter long island before and after, and it's not a period of time, but I would have said before and after infrastructure was built. Okay, so that's one way to say this. Or the diagram shows transformation that a 200-meter long island underwent, because you undergo a transformation. You can't say do, all right? You don't do a transformation. So those are some suggestions about that first sentence. On the one hand, in the first image, careful, we can see that the island before was completely empty. There were only some trees and the beach that remained stable. Also in the other picture, especially the vehicle track. Okay, what? The vehicle track? There is no vehicle track in the first one. Ah, I see. I think you thought that this was a vehicle track. I always just understood this to be like the outline of the beach, like this is where the sand is. That's how I always interpreted this. I think you interpreted this as the vehicle track itself. I don't think that's the case, because if you look here, the vehicle track is shown rather differently. Yeah. All right, that's what I think. All right, let's see. So this really should have read something else. On the one hand, in the first image, we can see that the island before was completely empty. There were only some trees scattered throughout the island, and the beach that remained the same. Okay, and then full stop. Now, I got to be honest with you. I don't entirely agree with this use of on the one hand, on the other hand. We don't really use it like that in English. I know there's some languages that do use this expression like this, but in English, on the one hand and on the other hand are used differently. We use them to show two opposite sides of an argument usually, or two opposing views of in an essay. So that wouldn't really work here, because that's not what you're doing. Okay? All right, so in the second illustration of the island, just without the on the other hand, a lot of new construction was built. In particular, comma, a hospital, because hospital, the H in English, remember this, in most words it's not silent, okay? So it should be a hospital. And to be honest with you, I don't think it is a hospital. I think the buildings are a hotel, a restaurant, and a mall. So in particular, a lot of new construction was built, in particular a hospital and several new accommodations, not several number. All of them were connected by footpaths, plural. Moreover, there was also a lake in the second island that was not present in the first one, and a pier in the south of the island where, with an H, not were, it's a different word, probably boats from foreign places arrive. Careful, you're including information that you just don't know. We don't know if it was foreign places, so don't include it. You're just making a guess here. So you don't want to do that in task 1. You only want to refer to the things that you see. So in the south, let's see, and a pier in the south of the island for boats to arrive, or for boats to dock. Something like that would be better, all right? But we don't want to say where the boats are coming from, because we just don't know. Okay, overall, comparing the first and the second island, it is clear that in the second one, different structures were built that made the island inhabitable. Careful. Okay, I think, Elena, that you mentioned some food. Okay, you know what? It's not that you didn't mention things, but you didn't really go into any detail. I mean, you told us there was some accommodation, but you didn't tell us anything about it, where it was. Like, you didn't tell us that the accommodation uh, covered the west side of the island from north to south. You didn't tell us that uh, the accommodation in the central, well, I guess I guess you could say in the central eastern portion of the island were in a circular fashion. Okay, so you didn't say anything about that. You mentioned footpaths, but you didn't really tell us where the footpaths went, did you? Let me see what you said about the foot. Oh, you said all of them were connected by a footpath. Yeah, well, the footpath also went all the way to the beach, right? And you mentioned the vehicle tracks, but you didn't really mention anything about the vehicle tracks. You didn't mention that the vehicle tracks went to the pier, they went around the mall, and to all the main structures of the island. So there was a lot more you could have said here. So you mentioned everything by name, but I don't really feel like you went into any detail about them. So that's one thing. So in terms of task achievement, I felt like there were things that you could have and should have mentioned a little more in detail. There was a little issue with some of your grammar. It wasn't all accurate. You saw that I had to change quite a few things. So yeah, I mean, it's a task one that I think it needed a little bit of improvement. Okay. I know we have your task 2 to look at, and I know you said this was a difficult topic for you. So let's actually see what you wrote here, okay? Nowadays, most green energy, okay, this is one about green energy, right. Let's see. As a dire consequence, this should all be singular. As a dire consequence of climate change, nowadays, if we want to reduce a negative impact on our planet, it is correct to consider different and alternative ways, S, to produce energy. Green energy, without the, could be a good solution, but it is doubted because it can have beneficial and negative aspects to everyday life. This essay will argue both sides of the argument. Okay, yeah, I can see that you're having a little trouble with this. First of all, this was a little awkward. It is doubted because it could have beneficial and negative. It wouldn't be doubted because of its beneficial aspects. So that didn't really make sense. I think you needed to rephrase this in a way that would make it clearer. Okay, so that's one thing. And let's see, there was no mention about this idea of the benefit to the environment, the benefit to the fact that it's cheaper, and nothing about energy security. So reading this, I couldn't kind of guess or imagine what the question was. And that's one of the signs of a well-written introduction. If I can more or less figure out what the essay topic is based on only your introduction and not actually reading the task, then that means that you've written a good essay, okay, or a good introduction at least. And I couldn't figure that out because you didn't mention anything about the environment or about cost. You didn't mention anything about energy security. Okay, so yeah, I would have rephrased this in a number of ways. So something like green energy could be positive both for the environment and for the economy, but could be problematic because of energy security issues. I mean, that's all you really needed to do. Okay? So, on the one hand, this kind of energy has profit. You don't mean profits, you mean benefits. Profits is just talking about like money, essentially. The reason for this is. The reason for this is twofold. Firstly, it is less expensive than the one produced in the classical way. All right, careful. Than the one what? So it is less expensive than energy produced by fossil fuels, okay? Because it is taken from natural phenomena. Secondly, it has a better impact on our planet regarding the environment without two. For example, it does not produce gases that can pollute our air. Thus, it is consequently clear that the innovation of this new way of producing energy could have beneficial impact on our planet, not reflection. All right, so this is okay, except you didn't really develop this idea at all. I mean, you developed the second one a little bit, but you didn't say anything about, so who cares if it's from natural phenomena? I mean, if you think about it, fossil fuel are also from natural phenomena. I mean, it's all natural, right? So why is green energy a better natural phenomenon than some of the other ones? So you really needed to explain this, because if you don't, you're just creating question marks for the examiner. All right? So let's say it is less expensive than energy produced from fossil fuel because the sources of energy, namely sun, wind, and water, are freely and readily available at all times. Okay? One does not need to dig for coal or drill for oil. These are readily available in our atmosphere. Okay? So you could have said something like that. And they're free, by the way, as well, kind of free. So yeah, you just need to go in a little more detail. All right, let's continue. However, on the other hand, okay, there are some aspects about this new power that have to be considered and not underestimated. All right, that's nice. One of these, THESE, plural, is the necessity for humanity today to produce a lot of energy for everybody's, apostrophe S, life. This need, comma, unfortunately, makes the efficiency taken from the plants. What plants? Do you mean the plants? I don't know what you mean here. Taken from the solar, you don't mean winter. Wind, I think you mean. And water, not enough. This problem could, all right, there's some awkwardness here. Let's see. One of these is a necessity for humanity today to produce a lot of energy for everybody's life. This need, unfortunately, makes the efficiency taken from the renewable energy sources not enough, or I would actually said inadequate. Okay. However, this problem could be solved. For example, if the government increased the amount of structures able to take energy in this green way, the production of, you don't mean stamina, you mean a different word here, but I don't know what you want to say, rise. Therefore, there are still solutions that our population could apply. Okay, let's see. I think you should have talked a little bit more about this. You said that it makes it not enough, but you didn't really tell us why. So why is it not enough? I mean, that's what energy security is predominantly about. But okay, great. So we're taking it from these natural weather phenomena. Why is it not enough? I mean, we have weather phenomena every day, all year round, all over the world. So why is that not enough? So you needed to explain that to us, okay? Let's see. If you had explained it, then you didn't need to necessarily get into this, oh yeah, but I have a solution for this. Because I'm not really entirely convinced that that's what you should be doing here. You're supposed to talk about one view here and the other view here. And so maybe you could have left some of this out. Like it's not your job now to solve the problem. Do you know what I mean? They didn't ask you to do that. So you should have potentially just talked about just the situation, the idea of energy security and the negatives of green energy. Okay. So from the arguments given, I firmly believe that we should grow with an O, not an E, the power of the green energy, because in the long term, it can only have beneficial consequences in our life and on our planet. All right. So, Elena, I mean, there's some good stuff happening here. You're doing well, but since I know you need to take a 7, I think that you probably need to work a little more. You need to overcome some of these grammatical things that keep happening with your writing. You have to aim for higher accuracy. I sometimes feel like your native language might be interfering a bit with what you're writing. That's kind of my sense. So I want you to write in a little more aware of this. That sometimes you're thinking in maybe it's not your native language, maybe it's another language you speak, but certainly it's some of the stuff you're writing is not like phrased in an English way, if that makes sense. So I want you to be aware of that and aim for higher accuracy with your language. Then, as I mentioned, I thought task achievement here needed a little more work, so be aware of that as well. Just developing, really kind of just, going into some detail about your thoughts and about your ideas, just going a step further. Okay, so you will get a link in your email with a new package of essays that you can begin with us if that's something you're interested in doing. I know you've got at least a couple of weeks before your exam, so I'd like you to take advantage of that time that you have and continue to prepare with us and write some more essays and get some more feedback. I think it will help. And of course, you'll do some work on your own to improve some of these weak spots that we've been discussing. So, Elena, I hope we'll get to see more work from you. I hope you'll consider another essay package, and I look forward to working with you. Okay, so best of luck to you.